Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sixer Sense podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and we are recording directly after the Sixers preseason game against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, Lucas. Another loss for the Sixers this preseason.
It feels like we're going to be saying that a lot this year.
Obviously preseason results really don't mean much of anything, but feels somewhat ominous given what's happening in the Philly sports world this week. Phillies lost the other day. Eagles lost on Thursday night.
To the Giants.
Both losing on Thursday night. Like a real tough Thursday night for Philly sports fans. I know you're not a Phillies or an Eagles fan, but
I'm a Sixers fan.
The Giants game is kind of like whatever. I mean, it's not like whatever. The Eagles are clearly in a bad place right now, but that Phillies game really stung. But this game didn't hurt as much as those games, thankfully. But some positives, Lucas, to take away. 17 points in the first quarter for Maxey. Played the entire first quarter and then sat. That we like to see it. That's a lot
of efficient shooting. That's the key part here. Efficient shooting.
Yeah, pretty much. Not all, but a lot of Philly's success this year is going to ride on how well Maxey can perform in various roles with different people in and out of the lineup. So seeing him be so dedicated as a leader this summer and performing well in the preseason is awfully encouraging. No Joel Embiid, no Paul George, no VJ Edgecombe, no Quentin Grimes, no Jared McCain. A lot of guys out in this game, Lucas. But Dominic Barlow got another start, played 29 minutes. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds, was all over the glass, especially in the first quarter. Didn't hit a 3, 4 of 10 from the field, 4 fouls. This is a two-way guy. They only have him available for 45 games before they have to convert or waive him. But are we thinking that Barlow's going to be in the rotation opening night at this rate?
I mean, assuming that Paul George is not healthy, it seems like a foregone conclusion. And we should note that the Sixers do have an open roster spot, so it's not like they couldn't. Of course, again, he's not the only guy that's really fighting for that roster spot, but in my eyes, he's the front runner because he brings something that the starting lineup desperately needs: is extra rebounding and energy and good defense. Like, yeah, he's kind of a net negative on offense for the most part. I mean, outside of the offense rebounding. But, I mean, he's a smart player. He doesn't turn the ball over. No turnovers in 29 minutes. And he can finish around the rim. And he's not a terrible foul shooter. I mean, 4 of 6, that's not bad. You can live with that. If he's going to be your fifth starter as kind of like that glue guy that does all the dirty work, which you kind of want. If your power forward's not going to be like a score first guy, you kind of want him to be like the defender, the dirty work guy. That's kind of what today's NBA power forwards are if they're not stars.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have a pretty strong suspicion at this point that Barlow might be an important part of what the Sixers do this year. Like, when this team is healthy, they're going to have plenty of offense. They have like at least 5 or 6 genuinely good offensive players who can all space the floor and do a little bit of everything. Now, are they going to have all those guys available at the same time at any point? God only knows. But when this team is theoretically healthy, they have plenty of offense to where they can afford for Barlow to not really score that much.
Yeah.
So, I think it's really encouraging. He's doing all the little things that Philly has really lacked in recent years. The rebounding, obviously, being the biggest one. Like, we've talked about the rebounding problem for, like, every year that this podcast has existed since, like, Ben Simmons was on the team. This team has never been a good rebounding team, pretty much. So, not that Barlow is going to single-handedly fix that. He's probably going to play, like, 10, 15 minutes a game off the bench, at least to start. But
he's probably gonna start, and he's probably gonna play about 28, 29 minutes whenever Paul George is out. I mean, who else is your starter at power forward? Kelly? No.
I think it might be Kelly, Grimes, VJ, and Maxey.
That's too small. That's too small.
You're paying those guys to go put points on the board. We'll see. Maybe he does start. I wouldn't rule it out. He has been really impressive
Hmm.
in a way
Side
that.
note: Nick Nurse did say he wasn't going to throw away the 3 guard lineup idea.
No, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect them to. I think we're going to see a lot of that this year, especially once McCain's back. We're going to see, like, I think pretty consistently 3 guards on the floor. However you want to define Grimes, if he's a guard, then we're going to see a lot of 3 guard lineups.
Yeah.
Speaking of guards, Lucas, this is kind of the second straight game where Kennedy Chandler has put up some numbers, 16 points, albeit on 16 shots, had 5 assists and 4 steals. Didn't hit any of his threes, but that's something we've seen him do in the past. Uh, this is not a guy who's on a two-way yet. He's not on the roster in any capacity. He'll probably be in Delaware to start the season. But what have you thought about Kennedy Chandler? Do you see this guy maybe sticking around the organization for a minute?
I think he definitely stays in Delaware for a minute. He got drafted in 2022. Has played in the G League the majority of the time. Did get some run with the Memphis Grizzlies in 22-23. But here's the thing: he's a great story, but in today's NBA, you cannot be 5'11" and not be a highly efficient scorer. And he's not always the most efficient. I think we can both agree on that. He is interesting though. So
Yeah.
could he get a 10-day here or there? Maybe if injuries happen, but with the guard depth that we have right now, I don't see him more than just a Delaware guy.
Yeah, I agree. I that's the thing is, like, with the guard depth in Philly, like, he's really auditioning for other teams right now. Like, he will
Hmm.
probably start the year in Delaware. And if he performs in Delaware, then he might hope to get like a 10-day or a two-way
Hmm.
somewhere else. I don't think it's going to happen in Philly just for obvious reasons. We keep talking about 3 guard lineups. There's going to be no space in that depth chart for Kennedy Chandler,
Yeah, you
especially with
still
his
have Hunter
defensive
Salas on a
limitations.
two-way as well. So
Yeah. So I tend to agree. It's probably we're not going to remember Kennedy Chandler's big preseason for very long. I don't think
no,
this is going to go down in the history books, but good on him for performing well, Lucas. Orlando looked pretty darn good. 20 points, 13 boards for Wendell Carter Jr. in just 20 minutes. Your favorite center, who you always love and respect in every conversation.
it's not like I
Um,
treat him like Rudy Gobert. Okay,
Yeah, well, uh, Paolo had 13 points, 8 for Franz in 20 minutes. I mean, as far as standouts go, Jace Richardson hit all 3 of his shots, including 2 threes, scored 9 points. He's had a really good summer league. I think both of us are pretty high on Jace
hmm
Richardson and think that he's going to be a real player this year.
yeah.
So,
The nice thing is he's undersized as a 2 guard, but you have Anthony Black as your quote unquote point guard, who's 6'5", 6'5", 6'6". So you can get away with playing Jace.
yeah, I mean,
Being a little bit smaller. But like the other player on the Orlando Magic that I want to keep an eye on because he's been relatively quiet as a former lottery pick is Jet Howard. I mean, the guy hadn't played barely at all, but I've seen almost every preseason game that the Magic have played. He's been getting real minutes, real rotational time. I think this is the Jet Howard year. Now, what does that mean? Probably just a rotational guy, but still something for him finally.
yeah, and that would be nice. I mean, they need as much shooting as they can get. So in theory, he's a really strong fit on the wing, like you said with Jace. A little bit undersized, but like a good defender for his size. And then you have Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, like you mentioned, some really quality defenders. The whole lineup is like super long and full of guys who can create. So I it's pretty much the perfect spot for Jace. Like if
Mhm.
I had to hand pick where I wanted him to land, it would have been Orlando the whole time. So I'm just happy for him, happy for them, I guess, as long as it doesn't interfere with our very realistic championship goals here in Philadelphia.
Absolutely, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, Jason, Jet, both sons of former NBA stars. So the Orlando is banking on the nepotism
Jace's
game here.
dad played for both Orlando and the Sixers. Just saying.
Yes, he did.
Yes, the
Obviously,
Jason
Jet is the
Richardson
son of
times.
Juwan Howard,
Yeah.
coach at Michigan right now. So yeah, very very cool. Uh, Good for them, I guess. And yeah, Philly 0-3 in the preseason. Super fun. All right, Lucas, you ready to talk about some quick GM survey and Sixers news stuff that
I
has come up?
suppose if we must.
All right, Lucas. This is breaking news. This is just a super shocking revelation from, I believe, Jake Fisher. I mean, no one's going to believe that this is happening, but apparently the 76ers do not plan to play Joel Embiid in back-to-backs this season.
Gasp.
I mean, just I can't believe
I'm
this is happening.
flabbergasted.
There's no way we could have predicted this.
No way.
Um, so, what are your thoughts on this shocking revelation, Mr. Johnson?
Don't that they call me at my day job. Let's
I'm
not.
sorry.
Let's not. No, it's okay. I just like day job name. Okay. Anyway, uh, no. Look. At the end of the day, this is not a surprise to anybody. That's why you have so many centers on the roster, so that you can survive games without Joel. And he even said last year he's done playing back to backs, and that's probably for the best.
Yeah, I agree. Really, really not shocking at all. All right, let's talk about the GM survey. Shout out to Adam Aronson of Philly Voice for kind of putting this all in a very concise, wonderful article that everyone should go read. But the GM survey, of course, conducted by the league, Lucas, is just all 30 GMs voting on things anonymously. So the Sixers were basically in the aggregate projected to finish 7th in the Eastern Conference. 10% of voters, aka 3 out of 30, put Philadelphia in the top 4. How do you feel about this? Do you think the Sixers are in the play-in range?
I mean, that's kind of
Are they?
where
Is
we
this
both
too
had
high?
them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
No. I mean, that's when we did our Eastern Conference projections this summer. That's kind of where we had them, right in the
Yeah,
playing range.
I
I think
think so.
we agreed they were 7th or 8th, right? So honestly, that seems about right. And we did say there was a possibility they could get into the top 4, and I think 10% chance of getting into the top 4 is honestly fair. If I think if everything breaks right, that's about a 10% chance, right? So, yeah, top 4 is not impossible. You know,
Yeah,
but 7 seems appropriate.
I agree. I seems about right. Another notable vote tally, Lucas, was which team will improve the most this season? This was a question I answered for a roundtable at Fansided recently, and I
Mm.
said the Sixers basically because they won 24 games last year, and if they're at all remotely healthy, they have to improve massively on that. Even if they're like the 10th seed, they're going to be much better than 24 wins. But the number one vote getter in this case, and you can probably define this argument however you want. Is it the most wins added? Is it the team that's taking the leap to the highest place in the league? That kind of thing. But Orlando was the number one vote getter with 30%. Atlanta and San Antonio both tied for second with 20%. And then the Sixers received 10%. Again, 3 of the votes. So this was a pretty split up category, obviously, with a lot of teams and a lot of different opinions. But how do you feel about Orlando, Atlanta, and San Antonio? Is there a team there that you feel the best about and the worst about?
I feel the worst about Orlando, and that's not to say that they won't be good. They were already like pretty good last year. I don't expect them to take a huge leap this year. I mean, they weren't the healthiest, but they were still a playoff team, not a play-in team. So I don't expect like maybe Orlando gets a few more wins,
Well,
but I don't.
they were a playing team. They were the 7th seed.
They
They were
were.
500.
I don't remember. Okay, well, okay then okay. Hang on, let me rethink this. No, I say the Hawks still. I think the Hawks are the biggest team that's going to make the biggest jump
Yeah,
because injuries just because they were flirting with a playoff seed before the Jalen Johnson injury, and they barely did anything in the play-in. So I'm going to say the Hawks. I think the Hawks are the better bet. The worst bet probably is the Spurs because they're already not healthy to begin the season, and until proven otherwise, Victor's going to miss a good chunk of time at some point, right? So I
yeah.
just I think
Well,
the Spurs are the worst.
yeah, the Victor thing is tough because you look at him and it's like, how does that guy not break his leg every time he pivots?
Hmm.
Like, he hasn't really had a serious injury that was basketball related. He got a blood clot, like, that
Yeah.
it's just sort of a freak thing. Like, I don't wanna, like, attribute that to him being injury prone in any sense. He,
Hmm.
like, clearly works very hard to stay in shape and flexible, and he's done a lot of special treatments going back to his time in France, but I tend to agree. Like, I think the Spurs are just the riskiest bet of those three. The least like they could make a
Yeah.
jump. Wemby could compete for MVP this year if they get 75 games out of him. Like, I totally possible that San Antonio makes that leap this year. But like you said, Fox already isn't healthy to start the year. We don't know quite how Dylan Harper is going to look right away. They're a younger group and they just have more to prove. So
And they're in the West.
yeah, so I agree. I think Orlando's the safest bet here. Like, I mean, they won one more game than Atlanta last year, and assuming they're healthy, I think the Magic are gonna be like a 2 or 3 seed. They could be the
I
one
don't know.
seed
Whoa.
depending on what.
I mean, I
Like,
guess I had them as like a top seed too, so I guess
they're
Magic
gonna
would
be a
do it.
really good defensive team. They've addressed their shooting and their playmaking in a pretty big way. Before Suggs went down last year, they were pretty darn good, and they kind of started to fall off after Suggs got hurt. He's back. I think Orlando's going to be the real deal. I like this Hawks roster a lot too. I don't want to shade them in any way. They could be a
Hmm.
top 4 seed as well, but I feel the best about Orlando, I think. Um,
That's
and
fine.
then this last one, Lucas, before we get to ranking the Sixers, which, if that's why you're here, is coming right up. It's very exciting. I'm sure we'll agree on everything. 29 of 30 GMs, Lucas, picked
Hmm.
Dallas Mavericks forward and number one overall pick, Cooper Flag, to win Rookie of the Year. The lone holdout picked Philadelphia 76ers guard VJ Edgecombe. Do we think it was Daryl Morey?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think
I'm going to
so?
go no. I think Daryl is a realist in terms of how he sees things, and he goes by the numbers.
So who voted for VJ then?
I don't
Was it?
know. I think some, like, probably like Joe Dumars, one of the really the really bad
I,
GMs.
I actually am gonna say the Wizards GM. I don't know what their name is right
Sure.
now off the top of my head, but they really wanted him.
Maybe Austin Ainge in Utah was
Austin, yeah, yeah, I
some
can see that.
FOMO. Uh, Ace
Though I
Bailey
will
had a
say
really
Ace Bailey
good.
did look good against
He
KD.
looked pretty sick against Houston, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think we regret that?
no,
Probably not.
no,
No.
nope.
VJ
I'm
just looks too good.
VJ's awesome. He's
Yeah.
just the brings so much joy to my life. I need,
That's fair. That's
he's
fair.
like the one source of joy in Philadelphia right now. All right,
Yeah.
are you ready to rank the gosh dang 76ers, Lucas?
The gosh dang 76ers, yes.
Well,
You want
then
to do that again?
let's do it. No, it already happened,
Okay.
Lucas. You've
All
missed
right.
your opportunity
You
to not mess
you
it up.
stole my opportunity. What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
you messed it up. It's your fault. All right.
Shame.
How do we? Who wants to go first? Do you want to
I
go
think
first?
we
Do you want me
go
to go
by
first?
threes starting at 17
Yep,
and
I
we
think
just go
that's
at the
fair.
same time.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
mean, I
one of
can
us should say it first.
well,
I
yeah,
don't.
no, not at the exact same time, but I'll go first.
Okay.
How about we alternate who goes first? So this group I'll go first. Okay, 17 I got Hunter Salas, 16 Eric Gordon, 15 Jabari Walker.
Okay. Uh, sure. I don't have any major issues with that list. At 17 on my list, I have Hunter Salas.
Yeah.
At 16 on my list, I have Andre Drummond.
Wow. After the guy hit two threes tonight. Shame on you.
Sorry, man. I gotta speak my truth. And then I have
I
Jabari Walker at 15 as well.
All right, fair enough. Well, you go up with 14 through 12.
All right, 14. For now, I've got Dominic Barlow, though obviously I think we both believe that could change pretty dramatically in the months to come. 13, I've got Kyle Lowry, everyone's favorite Sixer, and everyone's super happy he's back. 12, I've got Janai Broom.
Okay. Well, look, I think you'll be surprised that I have Barlow a little bit higher. So at 14, I have Kyle Lowry. 13, I have Trendon Wofford. And 12, I have Janai Broom. So we
Wow.
agree on Broom.
Yeah, you were not a Trendon Watford fan.
I'm not. Well, I haven't seen him play for the Sixers. I can't really rate a guy who I haven't seen play for the Sixers.
Sure, I mean, we've seen him in Brooklyn, though.
That doesn't count, and nobody should be judged by their play in Brooklyn.
He was good in
That's why
Brooklyn.
Ben Simmons got one more chance after Brooklyn.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Your turn at 11, Lucas.
All right, so 11, I have Dominic Barlow. Though I will say 11 through 9 can be interchangeable for me, personally. It does
Sure.
not matter. Not 11 is Dominic Barlow, 10 is Andre Drummond, and 9 is Justin Edwards.
Okay, fair enough. My cat is meowing in the background, so
I can't even hear him.
that's fine. If anyone at home can hear it, that is the baby, as my mother and sister named him, which I didn't have much say in. All right, 11. I've got Eric Gordon. Much higher than you have him.
Yeah, I'm a little
10.
surprised. Well, so we just flip flopped Drummond and Gordon and how we view them. Okay,
Pretty much. I've got
okay,
Watford at 10. I
a
think
little
he
high,
is
but
good.
okay.
9, I've got a Dembona.
Okay. All right,
All
fair
right.
enough. I mean, I don't hate that because at 8 I have a Dembona. At
Wow.
7 I got Kelly Oubre, and 6 I got VJ.
Okay. I mean, what happened to alternating, Lucas?
I thought it
I'm
was.
hurt.
Oh, did you? Oh, shoot, my bad.
Dang.
My
Wow.
bad. That's okay.
Wow.
You
Okay.
can have the next 2. Okay, you can have the
No,
next 2.
I'm okay. All right. At 8, I've got Justin Edwards. I am not going to sit here and be too concerned about some bad preseason games.
And
He
summer
was
league.
good
I don't
last
know,
year.
man.
He's good. I have faith. Number 7, Kelly Oubre. And
Yeah,
number 6, VJ Edgecombe. For now, obviously, I think both
yeah.
of
I
us
think he can
believe
climb. Yeah.
he will rise at some point.
Okay, so you can have. How about this last one? We do 5 through 1 just all together, but you go first.
Okay, I'm interested to see if we line up here. I think we might. I have
We
Quentin
maybe.
Grimes at 5, Jared
Okay.
McCain at 4, Paul George at 3, Tyrese Maxey at 2, and Joel Embiid at 1.
We do not line up.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed. So we do line up on Quinn Grimes at 5.
Okay.
I actually have Paul George at 4. I don't think that we're gonna get. I know Paul George thinks he's gonna be back to his former self, but I don't think so. I think Jared McCain's at 3. I think Joel Embiid is at 2. And Tyrese Maxey is at 1. Now I do want to put in this caveat. Tyrese Maxey is not the quote unquote more skilled player. That's Joel Embiid. However, the franchise is shifting onto Tyrese's timeline. And if I'm ranking for not just this season, but in the future, it's Tyrese Maxey. Look, we don't even know what type of Joel we're going to get. And I
Well,
think last year you could say that Tyrese Maxey, despite them both having limited, exposure to playing time, had a better season than Joel. So you can agree, disagree on that, but I think the team is focused on Maxey, and Maxey's the most important player for the Sixers moving forward. He is their now and their future.
I
Joel is just on there
agree
for their ride.
broadly with the idea that he's their most important player, both from like just a leadership perspective at this point and like value wise. He's their one max contract that isn't like an albatross. But
Yeah.
I would say for this season specifically, Sixers really have no hope if Joel is not somewhat close to where he's been in the past. Like I still think Joel is the most important player as far as like reaching their competitive ceiling in the short term. I
Well,
still
yeah,
think when
that's
he was
fair.
out
You
there
can
last
be the
year,
most important without being the number one player on the team.
I still think he's the best player. He's just been the best player
He
in the Eastern
wasn't.
Conference for
He,
so long. Like I'm not ready to vault Maxi there yet. I just want to see it definitively play out for a full season, but like we'll see. I mean it's definitely possible that Embiid regresses to that point. We have no way of knowing really, but you know, Joel is just such a gifted player and such a unique and generational offensive talent. It's like even last year when he was like objectively terrible by his standards, impact wise, he was still so far ahead of so many players. He just only played 19 games and looked like crap, so we didn't really put much stock into it. But he was still a good player last year, like a genuinely impactful, high
Yeah, he
level
was a good player,
star.
but was he better than Maxi last year? The answer is no.
Yeah, Maxi really was not that great by his standards last year. I think last year was the first year where he kind of hit a wall, and some of
That's
that is
fair.
just the roster around him and like the fact that he was way overworked and he got hurt. But like, I don't think Maxi made like some super duper leap last year. So I still think I'm going with Embiid for
I mean,
now,
it's fair.
but we'll see.
That's fair. I'm surprised you're not arguing the Jared McCain and Paul George point that I made.
No, I mean it's like the same deal, right? Like if George is healthy and playing at his something close to what we expected him to play before he got here, like then he's obviously number 3.
Yeah,
Maybe he's even
obviously,
number
but like, do
2,
we
but like
honestly believe that he is that now?
I don't know. We'll have to see it. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the older guys who have been so good for so long and who are just hurt. But
By
like
the way, Chris, I need to correct you on something earlier. Juan Howard is not the head coach of Michigan.
you're right. He's not
He's an
anymore.
assistant
But
on the Nets. Sorry.
yeah, that. But yeah. Anyways, I mean like. Could McCain be better this year? McCain is also hurt to begin the year. Like
Yeah, they're both hurt, so that's fair.
we've only seen like 20 games from him, so like the sample size is still super small. Obviously, we're both very confident in what we saw, but you know, McCain has his limitations too. The defense is concerning. We'll see how it all pans out with such a loaded backcourt, but could he be better than Paul George this year? Absolutely. It would not be like a
Yeah,
shocking
yeah.
development.
I don't think it would shock anybody. I feel better about McCain being higher than Paul George than Maxi being higher than Joel, but like you can make
Yeah.
the argument that it could happen. You could switch both those groups and it'd be fine. But look, we got them all in the same range here, and we outside of Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond, we basically value the players in roughly the same range. I don't think anybody was super high, super low besides Gordon and Drummond, and that's just preference at this point, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're pretty aligned with like the middle and top
Hmm. Now,
broadly in
who's
terms
a
of tiers.
guy from the middle or bottom that could have the biggest jump? We're not going to count VJ, but anybody else?
Um, I
I'm
mean
going to say
Barlow,
Barlow.
like
Yeah,
we've talked about, Barlow seems to be a guy who could leap up. I wouldn't put it past Shania Broom to like
yeah,
be the best backup big on the team by the end of the year and be like 7th or 8th or in
yeah.
that range. I think that's possible. We're talking
Hmm.
about like the best player in college basketball for the last 2 years. He's a tremendously skilled player. Um, so yeah, those would be the
Yeah,
two that I would point out. I
yeah,
Watford is an interesting player, and we'll see how it all gels. I don't think he really gives us what we exactly need at the power forward spot, but
yeah,
he's like Tyrese's best friend, and there's built-in chemistry there. So maybe something special is cooking, and we just don't see it. But um, yeah, I think Broom and Barlow would be my big
yeah.
ones there.
That's fair. That's fair. Who's your guy that could drop the heaviest out of these groups? Anybody?
I mean, I think Kelly. It's possible.
Mm,
We'll see what happens. I don't really expect it. Obviously, like Gordon and Lowry could be dead last or just off the roster by the end of the year. We'll
yeah.
see what happens there. I already have Drummond
I
pretty
think Paul
low.
George could make the biggest drop.
I mean, I Paul George could get hurt. Do I think we're gonna see like a healthy Paul George and end up thinking that he's like the ninth best player on the team? I don't
Well,
think
is
so.
healthy meaning that he's playing, or healthy meaning that he's playing like his old self? Because like he could be out there and averaging 11 points per game.
Yeah, I don't expect that to be the case. Like
I mean, I
even the
don't
Paul
either, but
George that
like
we
it's
saw last year,
there's a world that it could happen.
it could. I'm skeptical. Like even the Paul George we saw last year was still the pretty clear third or fourth best guy on the team. Like
Hmm.
it would take a pretty substantial drop for him not to be in the top 5 or
Hmm.
6 on some level, and that depends on how good VJ is and what happens with Grimes. But
Yeah, Grimes could drop too, but not because of like it's just going to be usage, not because
yeah, I think the top 6 is pretty firm. We can't say anything for sure about VJ because rookies
yeah.
can be weird and maybe it takes them a minute. We still have to be prepared for that, even though I know everyone's super excited about how he's
Hmm.
looking right now. But
Yeah.
I think, relatively speaking, the top 6 is
Mhm.
pretty secure.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
Do you want to do around the NBA real quick? I do.
Yeah, go for it.
Shout out to Victor Oladipo for putting on a show while he was back in America playing for a Chinese team. Frank Kaminsky did not look terrible either, but Victor should get a shot. Bring him in as a defensive guy. He can still play defense. That's pretty crystal clear. And anything that he gives you offensively is just you know, what cream on top. So like, why not?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe I don't think the Sixers need him, but like some team needs a guard. Maybe the Spurs.
yeah. Maybe the Warriors. I mean, you can point to plenty of teams that might benefit from a guy like that.
Hmm.
I agree. I would like to see Victor get another shot. He's a
Yeah,
pretty cool
Frank,
player.
Frank could use another shot too, but it's not as
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, he's a stretch big. There is a
Yeah,
place in the NBA for him.
I don't feel as strongly about Frank, but
Would you rather have Frank or Andre Drummond?
he was really cool back in college. What I probably Frank. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to have an objective conversation about Andre Drummond at this
Yeah,
point.
you can't be objective. At least you recognize that, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. Shout out to Victor Oladipo. I think that's a nice note to end the pod on. I don't have anything super pressing to talk about. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah.
thank you everyone. I will post these lists on the Sixer Sense Twitter account. I'll post the composite list as well, so follow us there at Sixer Sense. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can watch and listen on youtube.com/at the Sixer Sense. And you can follow me and Lucas on Twitter at CoachJ_20 for him, at Kline NBA for me. We'll be back soon to talk more about this wonderful Sixers team that inspires us so much to be the best versions of ourselves. And yeah, shout out to the Phillies and the Eagles and all our wonderful sports teams in the city of Philadelphia. Peace out, guys.